Welcome everyone to Entrepreneur Encounters. I'm Brent Halfloss. I'm an entrepreneur, coach, and business catalyst. I'm honored you're joining us today for episode 17. Why are we having Entrepreneur Encounters? I think we need to learn other people's stories. You need to get with other entrepreneurs who are a little bit further along in their journey than we are, so we can learn from their successes, we can learn from their struggles, we can learn from their trials, and most of all, benefit from their experience. If there are two things I would say right now, we're recording in November 2021, two things that are getting super important for entrepreneurs. What is the focus of your website and where is that directing people? And we're hearing a lot about podcasts. So I'm excited today to have on our show today, Megan Bruzan, who is the founder of Milwaukee Web Designs and is also is now producing multiple podcasts to really help us explore what that means and why it's going to make a difference. So Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your business, and you've got a couple of business lines. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so I have been the founder. I started Milwaukee Web Designs actually when my second child was born. So I worked for a great nonprofit, but I worked, 9 to 6 every day, and I wasn't able to see my kids. And I thought, wow, this really wasn't the life I signed up for. So, I knew websites somewhat, and I really just started putting out ads and stuff like that I remember I replied to some ads on Craigslist, and, just kind of, it was very, scraping the bottom of the bowl at the very beginning, but slowly worked my way up. And so Milwaukee Web Designs right now is, doing well. I mainly have a lot of clients that continue to come back to me, which I'm always really happy with. And I really do believe that websites should be used as a tool. And so one of the things that I stand on is that people need to be able to use their website. They need to be able to use it as a tool. And so being able to create your own content, create blogs, create resources, and be able to use your website and not feel that it's a crutch or something like that. So I teach everybody who I build a website for, I teach them how to use it and really make sure that they can use it appropriately within their business.
Awesome. Why did you want to become an entrepreneur? Why is that important to you?
Well, honestly, it was important to me because I wanted to be able to set my own schedule. I didn't want somebody telling me when to come into the office. And I wanted to be able to work early and take the afternoons with my kids off. And that took a while to get there. So I was really, that was not how it worked at first, but now I'm able to really set my own schedule and be able to be with my kids more. So I always just feel like if I can do it, anybody can be an entrepreneur. I really learned a lot about web design through YouTube, to be totally honest, and through trial and error. So there was definitely some sites that were not, hit a few hiccups at first, but I've learned my way around most of the things, and I think it's going pretty well.
Awesome. So you mentioned that everything didn't start out the way you had it planned. So walk me through that journey you did to get started in the business and how things went as you've been, slowly pivoting and making some changes along the way.
Yeah. So I really started out with started out thinking that I worked at a nonprofit prior to Milwaukee Web Designs. And then I thought, I'm just going to do nonprofit websites. And that slowly just didn't pan out. And so I started taking more business websites. I started learning really about what businesses needed. And a lot of people they didn't need a new website. They needed, to add MailChimp onto their website, or to add a product, or to integrate with one of the systems that they already had in place. And so being able to learn, which things are needed for the business was really helpful for me to be able to pivot correctly and be able to help businesses where they're at.
Awesome. So you've got, you mentioned a couple of times, you've got a couple of kids. So you're a mompreneur, which is super important. What choices and balances did you need to do in order to be able to get into business?
Well, I think, to be honest, I really just kind of set my mind to it and just started applying to things. Like I said, I had some kind of somewhat questionable clients that I didn't love. And, when I was able to not work with them anymore, that was fine with me. But I think it was just really just applying to every job, every website that, trying to contact every single person who I thought needed a website, making lots of lists of, who did I follow up with, contacting people and then recontacting them. I mean, I think I was a pro at just recontacting people that, I had a warm lead with or something like that. And it was really just continually trying to get out there and just keep asking people, do you need something? Do you need something? And trying to figure out what they wanted.
Yeah. So on that note of figuring out what they wanted, how did you identify the problem that you wanted to solve? Because, websites are it can be a big endeavor. It can solve a lot of different challenges. Where are you focusing as you were prospecting, and how did you identify the problem that you felt like you needed to solve for folks?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think like I really needed to look into every business, it was unique. And so some businesses needed more presence on Google. And so finding out, what were some keywords? What are you doing for search engine optimization? Do you have an email marketing list? And, implementing those types of things with those clients. And some people needed, well, I need to be able to speed up my site and, trying to help them have a site that is faster for their clients to be able to find the information they need. So maybe reorganizing information. So it really was probably pretty different for each person, for each business, which made the discovery process a little harder. But I think I learned a lot in just doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find that there are any impediments or obstacles that were holding you back as you continue to build this out?
Time. time would definitely be the big one there. But I mean, I think, I think just, giving myself some room to be able to learn what I needed to. Like I said, I mean, every company, every client is different. And so different clients just would need different things. So for some specific ones, I would have to totally learn a whole new plugin that would integrate into their website, and just giving myself time and know that this process is a good one. And I need to be able to learn it. I need to be able to know this plugin to be able to work with what they need. And, just giving myself time to do that was helpful.
Oh, I really like what you said there, because I think none of us know everything about the industry, particularly if you're pursuing technology. There's always a new plugin. It's a new revision of that plugin. It doesn't work the way it did last year. It may not even exist or be compatible with the newest update of whatever. So that you are willing to understand that your time is probably one of your most precious resources, and to be able to invest it in that way, I think is pretty awesome. So on that, how do you stay on top of the industry? There's a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
There's new formats, there's new platforms, there are new plugins, there are new ways that people want to do and display their information and navigate their story. So how do you stay on top of the industry?
Yeah, and honestly, that's something I really like. I like learning new technology. That's honestly, that's why I got into podcasting, because I thought, oh, this would be a fun thing to learn about. But just being able to kind of really seek that information out. And so when I hear that there's a new website developer or something like that, I really will go check it out, and I'll see, okay, well, what pros and cons does this one have compared with some of the other ones? Because I really do want to offer, I work with a lot of different level businesses. So I specialize in WordPress websites, but some people, they just kind of want a very simple one that they can manage themselves. And so something like Square or Wix are going to be great for them. And so I need to be able to know those enough to say, well, actually, I think you should use this one. I need to know the pitfalls that, they're going to see 5 years down the road if they're going in this direction. So I have found, because I used to just do WordPress, and I found just with being able to give people recommendations and give people the right information that I need to know. I need to be able to dive in a little bit deeper. And so through that, like I just, I've learned a lot of the different platforms. But again, that's just one of those things that you need to take an hour and you need to just learn, and you don't get paid for that hour, but that's going to help. It's going to help your overall business.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the podcasting I want to talk about, because that's a fairly significant, I don't even know if it's a pivot as much as an add onto your business. So talk about why podcasting and your vision is important, and how you got into that and some of those steps, because it's really a great way to show that as a business, we can find there may be parallel or opportunities, whether it's because the clients have these or because it fits our skill set well. And you managed to bolt that in. So I want to share that with the audience here.
Yeah. And so, to be honest, my brother-in-law was doing podcasting and he was just kind of done with it. And so he said, hey, if you want to borrow my equipment for a little bit and, take it for a spin. And so, me and my husband, we started our own podcast. It's a social justice podcast called 53206. And it's just it's all about kind of social justice things. And we wanted to do that, because we're passionate about that. But I also I have such a love of technology, and being able to learn podcasting has been really fun. I just see a lot of correlations between, a podcast and a website, and it's, they're both content. They're both, Google likes content. And so having a podcast, I really do see it as somewhat necessary for a lot of businesses out there, a lot of nonprofits out there. And I think it's just a great way to get your message across to one more audience. Obviously, as a business, we want to be able to give our content to our users in the easiest way possible. And a lot of people listen to podcasts. And so if you can create, some sort of message, some sort of journey that people can kind of walk with you through, even if it's a 10-part series or something like that on a podcast, it's not that hard. Even doing something through Zoom or, something simple like that is doable. And so one of the other things that I love sharing with people is I love taking technology down to people's level so that they can understand it and then they can utilize it. And so I really do love being able to offer people podcast services, but then also show people how to do podcasting. Like I said, it's not anything that's that hard. And for search engine optimization, it is it's another great way just to get your name out there.
So let's talk a little bit about SEO and how that would tie together. Because, gosh, I feel like it's becoming one of those words that people just sort of drop into conversations and like, oh yeah, I was optimizing my SEO. And you're like, really, what'd you do? It's like, I don't know. I added one word to my webpage and I think I'm going to rank better now. Like, let's talk about, and I'm specifically interested on the podcast side because it's an audio format. And I'm wondering, so how do you use that to leverage SEO in a way that your message, your brand, and your information shows up when people are searching for solutions to their problems?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So I do find that if you're able to create a podcast and then create a blog post and really work those together so that they can kind of merge those different keywords together, that's going to help your overall SEO. So Google has Google Podcasts. So they do, and I don't know the algorithms obviously of Google, but they do take into account, I know they take into account the title and your description of your podcast. I don't know if they're able to listen, and I don't know how that works with the algorithm, but I do know that they see podcasts as another source of content. So utilizing a podcast within your website is kind of going to give you the biggest bang for the buck. And so that's why I said, if you're able to create a blog post or some sort of research page on your website that has that link to the podcast, it can be any of the different links to the podcasts, then you're able to just kind of get all that juice from all the different from the search engine, from the spider web of the website. And I feel like I'm talking a little techie, but basically, to kind of lower it down a little bit, if you're able to use keywords and use descriptions that your customers are searching into Google within your podcast, within your text of your site, within kind of your overall story, that is going to help with your SEO. But SEO is a moving target. It's, and I always like to kind of think like SEO is similar to social media. You can't just let your social media, you can't do nothing with social media. You need to do something. And a lot of people think, okay, well, I have really good SEO. Well, the algorithm might change, in 2 months. And if you're not continually creating content, and that doesn't have to be a million things. It just needs to be something that your customers would find value in. And so if you're able to give them some resources, or that's where I think just a podcast is great. If you're able to tell stories that are engaging, that your customers can find value in, that's going to help with your overall SEO strategy.
Yeah, I like that. And one thing I think was suggested too, in the event that you're doing some type of interview format, if someone else posts, they may want to talk about, hey, I was a guest on this show, et cetera, and they may put it on their website and the places that they're hosting. They may backlink back to you, particularly if you've embedded that podcast on your own website. So it's a great opportunity to get some of those backlinks and some of that cross promotion, which I think is so important. And also, frankly, indicates that like, hey, I'm engaged. I'm connected to this community. So I think that's really important.
And I love that you said that, because I think you're right. Because if I find, me and you, we have somewhat similar businesses, just that we're both trying to level up, people in a little bit different ways, but we definitely work with some of the same clients sometimes. And if we're both linking to each other, then, Google is seeing, okay, Megan works with entrepreneurs as well, apparently, because she links to Brent's site.
Yep, absolutely. No, I think that's a way to be part of the community. We're going to talk even more about community. So talk to me about some of the, what does your support community look like? What are some of the resources and people and organizations that have really helped you along the way to be able to build up?
Yeah, I would say, I'm trying to even think at the very beginning. Because I definitely use a lot of different people. I have graphic designers, I have social media experts. I have a lot of people that I'm not, I have like IT people. So I have a big group of people that, I stay in my lane, and they help me with a lot of the other things. For instance, one of the guys, he's so helpful. He helps me just like even like change over, if we're creating a dev site and then it goes live, he can just like press a button and make the domain live on that URL, which is like, I'm like, oh, this just take me like 7 hours. I'm like, this is such a great person to work with. So being able to find people that you can trust and that you can utilize, and you can pay them for their services, because it's going to save you time. That has been a really valuable skill to learn. And that's something that I always thought, oh, I can do it all myself. You can, but it's going to take you 7 hours and it's not going to be worth it. So, I really do try to stay in my lane, and do what I'm good at, so that I can get more done on that end. And I've loved being able to work with different people. I work with a lot of women entrepreneurs, and I love working with women entrepreneurs, obviously because I'm a woman, but I feel like we are always just like, get right down to business. And, we're like, kids screaming in the background and stuff. And so it's always fun. But I think that that's been really helpful, just to be able to find a team and find some people where I can just send people that way. And, I can kind of keep doing what I like to do and what I'm good at doing.
Absolutely. I think that makes a ton of sense. What, we've been through some knocks here recently. So what has allowed you to persevere and keep doing what you're doing and continue to do it better, and then even grow additional services on top? How do you persevere?
I think knowing my why, and I love going back to my why, because my why started when I was pregnant with my second child. And, I started my business so that I could spend more time with my kids. And so I knew I don't want this to fail. I probably, I could have failed, and I probably almost should have, but, I think knowing that why, I'm not doing this, not doing this for the money. I'm doing this so I can spend more time with my kids and with my family. And that helps me, clock out at night, because sometimes I have a lot of work to do. And, I think, no, this can wait till tomorrow. But knowing my why has been really helpful.
Oh, that's a great piece for everyone to remember. If you don't know your why, or maybe frankly, you've forgotten your why and gotten lost in some of the churn, I want to encourage you to just take time and reflect on it. And it doesn't have to be the same as when you started, but there does need to be a why, because I think that leads to significant burnout when we get detached from that. And then we forget, like, why are we showing up and going through the motions? And the why is personal to you. It doesn't have to match Megan's. It doesn't have to match mine. It doesn't have to match what you saw on YouTube, but it does have to be yours, and it does have to be personal. So cool. So we mentioned a little bit about SEO. Can you share a couple other items that are important if an entrepreneur or a small business owner is watching this show? They've launched, they're getting started, they're building up, they're moving towards that profitability and accelerating their business the way they want. What are a couple of things they need to know that are in your wheelhouse you'd like to share today?
I think I would say a lot of different directions we could go. I think I never want people to think that they can't do a website, because you can. A website is really not that hard. Wix, Squarespace, they have different templates. They're very easy to do. I think, if you're looking to hire a developer, I would look to hire a developer that can teach you how to do the things. And so that developer does not own everything. I think that's really important. I've seen a lot of people who kind of give their developer everything, and then they realize, all these things need to be changed, and they don't know how to do it. Now they have to pay extra. And you want somebody that's going to give you training, or give you at least the information of how to get that. And then with social media, I really feel like a lot of the small businesses I see, they don't promote themselves enough. And I'm like, you know what, you need to promote yourself, especially the businesses that have products. We all want to support small businesses, and so get your stuff out there so that we can all buy. Especially around the holidays and everything. Don't hide yourself out. I would say those two are big for me lately.
Awesome. One of the final questions here as we start to wrap up our interview, but tell us about your brand and what you want people to think of. What's uniquely you and uniquely about your business? Why are folks want to seek you out and do business with Milwaukee Web Designs?
Yeah, and one of my core values is that I like to give away a lot of information. I like to give away a lot of information because I think people then can understand, first of all, how much work this stuff is, and then a lot of times then they realize, okay, actually I want you to do that. But I also do think that I love the idea that a business owner needs to be able to utilize their website as a tool. And so if you don't know how to use your website, you can't utilize it as a tool as much. So yeah, I think those are them.
Okay, cool. Last item, how do people get a hold of you? If they want to reach out to you, they want to learn more, they want to benefit from your expertise, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, my website is Milwaukee Web Designs, and my contact info is on there. I'm also on LinkedIn, Megan Bruzan. So I'd love to connect with anyone. Like I said, I love to be able to give people information about websites. So please do feel free to reach out, and I'd love to give you an assessment, or give help with SEO, or install that plugin that you've been needing to get installed.
Fair enough. Well, Megan, it's been a super privilege to be able to talk to you today. Everyone, we've been talking to Megan Bruzan, the founder of Milwaukee Web Designs. And just about how she has grown her business and accelerated. If there's one key takeaway I want to encourage everyone to remember, is that time seems to be our most valuable asset. So know your why, structure your time around that as you build your business. And I think you're going to find you're going to be able to generate some success in that way. If you want to continue getting together, and I encourage people to build and leverage on resources, do join us Wednesdays, 4:30 p.m. Central. We gather a group of entrepreneurs together to be able to share their stories, share their struggles, ask for accountability, just be able to connect and know that we're not in this alone. That is one of the fallacies about entrepreneurship that if I could debunk, I would. But hey, we are not in this alone. We need other people. We need to work together. So bit.ly/entrepreneur encounters. Do sign up, register, and join us. That's a free opportunity. I want to continue to get people on. So I do want to talk about today's sponsors. Andrew Feller Photography has done all our photography. Buckethead Creative does all our graphics. Charlie's Music Factory and Chris Crane handle our music on the way out. And Milwaukee Web Designs, we've heard plenty about Megan, and she's helped us figure out how to go from Brent hunting and pecking to actually having a website that we're proud of. So thank you for that. Again, I'm Brent Afwasson. I'm a business coach. I'm also been an entrepreneur. My goal is to help entrepreneurs and business owners grow your profit and accelerate your business. So if you're interested in spending a 30-minute discovery call with me, absolutely free, bit.ly/coach with Brent, or you can go on that QR code and find us. Brent at halfwasson.com. You can find us on our website, halfwassonassociates.com. You can also link with me on LinkedIn. Find me anyway. I look forward to helping you. Appreciate you watching this episode of Entrepreneur Encounters. If you like what you heard, please do subscribe on whatever social media platform you're on and check out some of our other long form interviews. Thanks a lot.